Cannery workers resolve to continue strike. Changes mooted for election process.
The 2018 LRG election as well.
And men's value system in focus.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me. This is Wednesday's news. Workers at the Frabelle Fish Cannery in Lae have resolved to continue with a strike that began on Monday, demanding an increase in their pay. The management of the company responded to their petition, striking out Sunday as an official workday. However, issues with the pay increase are yet to be addressed. They have now sought help from the Maritime Workers Union.
This is the third day of a strike that began on Monday. Frustrated staff gathered awaiting their response from the management. A notice requesting staff to return to work today was ripped off. Cannery staff walked off their jobs on Monday. They demanded pay increase and to change the management's decision in making Sunday an official workday. Today, the management responded.
We are paying our workers the way we have promised them.
The HR manager, Andreas Mariano, also denied claims made by staff that pay increases were inadequate.
If the government says the increase is this one, then across the board to these minimum wage earners, we are always giving it.
But workers have stood firm, saying the increases equate to only a few toya above their normal wages. Unhappy by the response, staff walked off, resolving to stay on strike.
Philippines then work. Otherwise, make a 1 week protest.
The Maritime Workers Union is now assisting the staff.
We can negotiate and then we give them some awards, our union awards. Now abide by, now pay accordingly. Production
at the cannery ceased since Monday, costing the company millions of kina.
The company is losing money on this.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
The Electoral Commission is finalizing a proposal to present to Parliament on all the issues and problems faced in the 2017 national general elections. Electoral Commissioner Patiles Gamato says some of them include structural issues and problems. The proposal will also assist them prepare for the 2018 LLG elections. The Electoral Commissioner made these remarks when officiating at the first Momase Regional Election Evaluation Workshop this morning in Medang.
The three-day workshop in Medang brought together election officials from Morobe, East and West Sepik and Medang provinces and the PNG Electoral Commission headquarters. The theme of the workshop is about identifying 2017 national election solutions for improving on in 2018 LLG elections.
Now, specifically for this workshop, we want to discuss, amongst other things, two fundamental areas. Number one, we want to evaluate our past performance and achievements and the key challenges that we faced during the 2017 national election. And second, and the most important one, is to plan for the 2018 LLG election. As you know, LLG elections will come in 2018.
Electoral Commissioner Patiles Gamato says they are finalizing the 2017 National General Election report to Parliament. In the report, the PNG EC is planning on implementing reforms in the electoral process. Mr. Gamato says they will be looking at the legislative framework and structure to see if the PNG EC can introduce the new legal framework. This will facilitate the reforms. This workshop will also help to collect views from the regions to be included in the report.
One of those reforms is for us to look at working with our partners, and the provincial governments and local government councils are important partners to any electoral process. So we'd like to see if we can work with them for the LLG elections. What we'll be basically doing is provide technical support to the provincial governments and local level governments so that they can conduct future LLG elections.
The other area the PNG EC is working on is the role updating process. Gamato says PNG Electoral Commission is looking at appointing election managers as registrars of elections. This means that straight after the national elections, election managers will continue to update the role. PNGEC is also looking at voter verifications and registration. But all these reforms will depend on the legal framework and the laws that will be submitted in the proposal.
We are proposing some changes, but all those changes will have to go through Parliament. There must be legislative changes. So if the Parliament approves that, then we can look at electronic voter registration. Electronic voter registration. I'm not considering electronic voting system because some older democracies like Australia don't use electronic voting system.
Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Medang.
The Electoral Commissioner has also made a decision to defer the LLG elections to 12 months after the return of wreaths for the national general election. This is because they will not be prepared for the LLG elections. Gamato says it will be a mammoth task to run 2 elections, thus it is proper that the LLG elections be deferred. This will also allow national and LLG elections to run separately to avoid a lot of issues and problems. The National Court has dismissed the election petition filed against Kerema MP Richard Mendani. The court dismissed the case on technical grounds. The court found the petitioner breaching the 14 days to file the case against the sitting MP.
If you can find a person to serve for the first respondent to serve the petition too, then you have to go back to court, apply for leave so that the court will extend the time required so that you can serve the petition. But in this case, they sat on that right and the time expired.
I think that now sets a clear signal, or have already given it direction for me to be able to go back and serve the people of Kerema electorate. And I want to, for me, adherence to rule of law has been an important issue that I always want to ensure that prevails in this country.
Men's role in addressing gender-based violence begins with identifying men's value systems. Cultural, religious and circular value systems of men are examples of what must be understood for them to support the fight against gender-based violence. This discussion was among many other topics discussed on the second and final day of the Men's Forum in Port Moresby today.
Identifying men's key value systems is another way forward in understanding their role in addressing gender-based violence. The inaugural National Men's Forum, on its second and final day today, highlighted key approaches in addressing gender-based violence by beginning at the family level. First Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department for Community Development and Religion, Jack Simbo, said understanding men begins at home at the family level where boys are instilled values at an early age.
The better family environment that he created because he changed. Great relationship that he had with his wife and the blessings harvested by his children.
He said solutions of gender-based violence are to be worked around the family unit, and as such, the Department for Religion, Youth and Community Development will be hosting a children's forum next month, followed by an elderly or senior citizens forum. Stacey Yellow, National EMTV News.
Gender norms of many societies around the world, including Papua New Guinea, have allowed for women to be subjected to violence and abuse. Deputy Country Representative for United Nations Women, Adekemi Ndeli, said despite the fact that it is an equal world, many cultures of the world permit men to exercise control over women, sometimes being too controlling. She said PNG is not an exception in this case, but men's lack of knowledge on the magnitude of violence in PNG is a concern.
Because PNG became a nation in 1975 and has signed up to and acceded to the United Nations Charter, which promotes the rights of everyone, equal rights, and the rights of women, and also is committed to addressing all forms of discrimination.
She said many societies of the world have widely accepted the gender norm of giving men high authority to exert control over women.
1 in every 3 women. So if you think if you have 5 daughters, for example, you count 1, 2, 3, the third person in their lifetime will sometime experience violence against women. That is huge, isn't it? It is huge. And to say that the current prevalence of violence against women in this country is 85%, that is staggering.
She said even if gender norms give more authority to men, gender equality is common sense. She added that it is time for a change, and change must not be seen as a foreign agenda, but as progress.
The violence against women is actually rooted in widely accepted gender norms about men's masculinity, men's authority, and use of violence to exert control over women.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, youth with a mission goes to Oro, Lace Malahang clinic still closed, but good news for one clinic in Montagan. Stay tuned for details. Welcome back. The Church Partnership Program launched its third phase yesterday with a ribbon-cutting ceremony led by Australian High Commissioner Bruce Davis. The ceremony, held under the theme Collaborative Implementation and Strategic Partnerships, was attended by representatives of the 7 mainline churches and their counterparts of the Australian church-based NGOs. The purpose of the Church Partnership Program is to build the institutional capacity of PNG churches to engage as civil society actors and improve their contribution to health, education and social service delivery in PNG. Papua New Guinean churches play a significant role in local community development from urban communities to the most remote parts of the country, influencing public debate and building a momentum of positive social change.
And so, embracing that, my office is in the path of dialogue and consulting with relevant stakeholders to come up with a policy that embraces all these churches in PNG and all the development work that these churches are doing in PNG.
The 13-year journey for the Church Partnership Program reflects a long-standing partnership between the government of Papua New Guinea and Australia. It is a significant achievement that has touched and changed the lives of many Papua New Guineans. By way of improving the services they are already offering to the communities, this next phase explores options for enhanced collective action.
The Australian government remains firmly committed to an ongoing partnership with Papua New Guinea's churches. Australia is also committed to supporting Papua New Guinea's priority to improve service delivery, economic opportunities and community development by empowering provinces and districts. This was demonstrated through the recent signing of the Papua New Guinea-Australia Partnership for Improved Decentralisation and Service Delivery on 28 September. Under this partnership agreement, the governments of Australia and Papua New Guinea will work together to strengthen Papua New Guinea's decentralised system of government and maximise development outcomes in the provinces and districts. Phase 3 of the Church Partnership Program forms an important part of this commitment.
A memorandum of understanding was also signed by the Baptist Union and the Adventist Development Relief Agency PNG, a project arm of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, to formalise the rollout of the first ever adult literacy curriculum in Papua New Guinea, a program that paves way for illiterate persons to take phonics classes.
So this small signing of this MOU will lead to other partners joining, and we want to set up one system so that all the churches are running level 1. We have the same trainers and our teachers are taught on level 1, then level 2, so that it is like a bigger network.
Once the literate persons graduate, they can move on to further their education at the primary or vocational school level. The adult curriculum has also caught the attention of other churches who are very much interested in carrying out the program as well. EDRA PNG's focus now is to set up one system so that all churches run level 1, then level 2 of the curriculum to ensure efficiency in the program. Patrons for the YWAM Medical Ship Program, Sir Robbie Namalu, PNG and Mike Reynolds Australia have announced the medical team's next outreach schedule. MV YWAM will make her first visit this time to Oro Province this weekend. Sir Robbie says he is looking forward to hearing more success stories from locals about the wonderful job YWAM is doing throughout the country.
Since the initial arrival of YWAM Medical Ship Service in 2010, it delivered medical services to over 911,000 healthcare and training services, including direct care to over 176,000 patients in hundreds of remote villages in the country. Making 2 trips every year to PNG to carry out medical outreach, YWAM patrons Sir Robbie Namalu and Mike Reynolds of Australia both continue to work together in making sure that health services provided by YWAM reach the most remote areas that lack medical attention in the country. Now operating from a high-class medical ship equipped with proper facilities, YWAM is now set to do its routine voyage in the country, and this time YWAM will visit the Oro Province for the first time.
YWAM has other programs up in the highlands. We don't have a similar program of this kind up in the highlands as yet, but that is something under consideration because obviously it will require a different approach.
YWAM's medical team of volunteers, made up of PNG nationals and expatriates from 12 other nations, will be in the Oro Province for 2 weeks. The medical team will then work their way throughout the southern region, visiting remote villages to carry out their medical services before they work their way to Morbe Province over the next 7 months.
The voluntary support that we get from specialists, doctors, nurses, people who run the ship, very important. We have a voluntary captain, we have chief engineer and engineers, the maritime workers as well. So those volunteers are very, very important.
In Oro, the team of medical professionals will service villages in southern region, delivering maternal health services, dentistry procedures, eye care, tuberculosis screening, including immunization, and in-service training for local health workers. Both patrons thank the many supporters and sponsors of YWAM, both in Australia and PNG, for their ongoing and generous support. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The Karawagi District Development Authority is aiming to improve current infrastructure in the area. Local MP Barry Palmer says the 5-year development plan aims to achieve its development agenda. Mr. Palmer and the district workforce held a tree planting ceremony recently to signify the growth and the partnership developments.
Hundreds turned out at the Karawagi District headquarters to witness the occasion. MP Barry Palmer was joined by development partners, Karawagi public servants and members of the Karawagi District Development Authority. MP Palmer says many services need improvement and 5 years is not enough time to see them through. He says work must start immediately.
Mibla looks out and 5 years and short time. Now Mibla looks out and Mibla must start working day one.
Mr. Palmer and the district authority have created a plan to guide the district's development agenda. He says not all communities will receive the same attention in services delivered.
Mibla nuna kirabi work lo kaingan up lo tormai project ko kam. Mibla masigat plan. 5, 10, 15-year plan or 20-year plan. Mibla masigat plan na work mas kirabi.
4 major projects will be established under the Palmer administration: Karawagi Airstrip, rural electrification, road networks and courthouse. A tree planting ceremony was held to signify the partnership between development partners, the Karawagi administration and the local people.
So this last member because dream on ground courthouse na project every funny finish.
Road networks and bridges have been a major problem in the past 15 years. Locals say building new roads and improving connectivity will help a lot.
Na samdata mibla sa wogo baud lo dislarot golgeta live tamlo lo baragi na sim karna transporti molke blumla gulo kundia taun na dislagaina. So now mi ama so sim road na power baka me monta service mibla nidim stalem now.
Despite a negative balance in the district books, the Palmer administration is keen to change the district and improve the level of service delivery.
We send mibla economic gap mibla le kireti inside Central Islands. The big we send you gap. So you may need to put him in place or something. One imsan by Yumi Kirabim Jula. Wisin.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Karawagi District will be paying tithes to church-based organizations. Local MP Barry Palmer says churches have played a key role in delivering services in areas where the government has failed to. Palmer said a tenth of every funding received by the district will be paid to support churches.
We believe also set some very important partner law, development law, district one time online, you mean all man. What's saying we putting 1/10 for every budget, every GSI become 1/10 by going inside. So now we like 1 million, 100,000 equal sets budget now.
Gas distributor BOC today opened up a new distribution office 5 years after their previous office was destroyed in a fire. Despite the challenges, the company says they are here for the long haul as they celebrate 50 years in Papua New Guinea.
Today, a small ceremony marking the opening of a new chapter for the company. A new office rebuilt after the old one was destroyed in a fire 5 years ago, and the announcement of their 50th year in operation in Papua New Guinea. Managing Director John Evans said the technology had evolved over half a century and there are now new opportunities.
The early days we would just produce oxygen and nitrogen, and it would typically be used for some simple processes like oxygen in hospitals and nitrogen for a little bit of freezing applications. These days BOC gases are used all around the world.
BOC has more than 100 employees in Papua New Guinea. The oldest has served for more than 40 years. Over the last 50 years, BOC invested more than 100 million kina in training and expansion. Today, their portfolio of activities spans several sectors and industries.
Exposure to all parts of the economy, I think, has been part of our strength. So we supply into every sector, all industrial, commercial, agricultural, hospitality sectors, and that's been one of our strengths.
The new facility now improves their operations significantly. Scott Wade, National EMTV News, Ley.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3125 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.305 US, $0.3881 Australian dollars, $0.2544 euro, and 33.92 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee, cocoa and copra closed higher while gold closed the day lower. Crude oil and copper closed higher while palm oil closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 69.61 points higher, the ASX closed at 33.99 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 33.72 points higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Lay MP John Rosso has called on the community at Malahang to hand over the criminals who broke into the clinic a month ago. Last month, criminals broke in and stole more than 1,000 kina worth of anti-malarial and antibiotic drugs. The clinic is still closed and patients are being referred to other clinics for treatments.
There are still no reports from the police on arrests made to the criminals who broke into the Malahang clinic a month ago. The member for Ley, John Rosso, is calling on the members of the community to assist in handing over suspects to the police so the clinic can operate. This is the third time this year the clinic has been attacked.
When people break into a community clinic, that means the community around them should be aware of who those kids are. They obviously have parents, they have brothers and sisters. The community should stand up and point them out, report them to the police, get them involved. If they refer it to the district and say, we're going to fix it, how do we fix it? The culprits belong to your community. Surrender them to the police so that the clinic can be reopened.
The Malahang clinic serves a population of more than 30,000 and also receives referrals from other districts. In May, the clinic's solar panel was stolen, and in August, in another break-in, the thieves ran off with cash. Last month, thieves stole more than 1,000 kina worth of anti-malarial and antibiotic drugs. The break-in forced the closure of the clinic.
I support the closure of the clinic because we can just reopen the clinic. The culprits get away scot-free.
John Rosso says the Malang clinic should remain closed until the suspects are handed over to the police.
The nurses and the hardworking staff there, they put their lives on the line in very trying conditions to work there. And what little government services we have, the community should try to look after them.
Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
On a positive note, Women's Clinic in Mount Hagen has been given a facelift through Bank South Pacific's community project. The clinic does cervical cancer screening and counseling for abused women and children. BSP painted the exterior of the building and donated brown and white goods worth up to 24,000 kina.
Under the BSP's community project, they donated a laptop, executive chairs, a table, desktop computers, a printer and office goods. BSP Mount Hagen branch manageress, when donating the furniture, said BSP uses 1.1 million kina every year to give back to the community, focusing on health, education and sports.
This project and other supports shows BSP commitment in not only to be the best financial service provider, but we're ensuring that our customer and stakeholders are looked after from the community level up.
Well Women's Clinic was closed for almost 2 years. It is a family support center for all forms of abuses to children and adults. In 2012, they introduced cervical cancer testing when staff members saw that the obstetrics and gynecology clinic have a high mortality rate. In just 3 years, 7,000 women visited Well Women's Clinic for cervical cancer testing. 1,400 women were tested positive and were treated.
20% were VIA positive, meaning that in 10 to 15 years' time, the virus will develop cancer, cervical cancer. So they were all treated, and after review, they were all negative.
The clinic gets a large number of rape cases of children than physical abuse. With the assistance of BSP, Well Women's Clinic will be able to keep records of the events and statistics.
So National Red Cross built this for us. Then, we are looking at the white goods and stuff that would go in there. And thankfully, BSP has come to our rescue and given us that. So we will have a full service from this building.
Vasina Tayama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The new Air Niugini apartments located at 7 Mile in Port Moresby next to Air Niugini House will accommodate contract workers and pilots who fly in and out to operate the aircrafts here in the country. Chief Executive Officer Simon Fu says Air Niugini tries to create a connectivity within the country and also with other countries.
So we have a percentage of our people that fly in and fly out to crew aeroplanes. They will be housed here. Previously, they were housed in more high-cost areas, which the company believed a few years ago that it would be better served that we have our own facility here.
And turning overseas, the situation in California has now been declared a major disaster. The death toll continues to climb as wildfires reap through parts of the states, including the wine regions where large areas have been blackened.
It's the sheer scope and size of these wildfires that's causing panic. From north to south, California's burning. Firefighters working desperately to contain the state's worst ever firestorm. But so far, they're losing.
When the flames came up, we came down here and you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face.
Dry tinder and 80-kilometre-an-hour winds have created perfect conditions for flames to spread. At least 15 people are dead, and those who have escaped aren't celebrating.
All our pictures are gone. Everything's gone. We've got a fire pit. It's pretty awful.
Not only did we lose our house, but we both now are unemployed.
One woman searching desperately through the charred ruins of her home for her most prized possession.
I don't have it. Oh my God, my wedding ring. I just want my wedding ring.
15 major blazes have engulfed around 30,000 hectares of land.
Wind can start fires, down power lines, vehicles pulling off into the dry grass. All of those things have the potential. And under these kind of conditions, the risk is just extreme of new start.
Authorities are now focusing on evacuating those in their path. So far, around 20,000 people have fled. Vice President Mike Pence has visited, offering words of support.
We will be with you every day until we put the fires out and stand with these families to rebuild these communities.
But that's a long way off for the thousands of people simply struggling to accept their losses.
Up next in Chukai Sports, the Rugby League World Cup takes a tour around Moresby North East. Stay with us for details.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The PNGDF Commanders Cup Rugby 10s kicked off this morning at the Murray Barracks Oval in Port Moresby. In the opening matches, the Basilic Marlins defeated the Goldie Warriors 12 points to 5, while the Lombrum Sharks went down fighting to the HQ Chiefs 20 to 5. The tournament starts today and ends on Friday.
In true military fashion, the cup was flown into the Murray Barracks Oval before the curtain raiser match between two PNGDF women's team. After formalities, it was kick-off. The opening match was between two Moresby-based units, the Basilisk Marines and the Goldie Warriors. It was fast-flowing rugby as both teams flared up in attack and defense.
Oh yes, once in a while basta bumo sa kain. Same time operation no. Sila kain force activity on narba units lo kami no. Migla travel out na one time sol basta kain sem na one blam commanders kabe. All out units kami do line lo most staff. I've been off sabla long time na. Nam kabek na planti all pamanto la mamas. Na planti dolo la mamas so stop backside lo migla. Na but planti blol no pilay. Although them bigla time no pilay finish so. Now time blol yang class so. All support all stop solo support bigla so.
The main game of the day was between the 2 RPIR Muruks and the 1 RPIR Diggers. The game was intense as the two teams had a long and rough history in the Commanders Cup tournament. But at full time, the game ended in a 7-all draw. In other matches played today, the LRRU Troopers defeated the Igam Crocs in the opening game 5 points to 0, while the HQ Chiefs in their second game ran over the Tarangau Sharks 20 points to 5. The tournament continues tomorrow with a presentation of jerseys with the final round set for this Friday. Stanley Ove Jr., National EMTV Sports.
The 2017 Rugby League World Cup is just under 20 days away, and fans in the country want to know about the players in the red, black and gold Kummels jumper. Tonight we feature a player who's no stranger to test footy, but after a brief absence from representative duties for PNG, Gary Lowe makes his return to the national side.
Gary Lowe, the fast-finishing winger from Western Highlands, currently plays for the Seafield Eagles in the second-tier competition for the English Super League, in which he has already scored more tries than games played. Before that, Lowe debuted with the Hunters squad in 2014 Queensland Cup season and impressed rugby league fans in Australia and Papua New Guinea with his speed and power on the wing. That landed him the top try scorer award with a season total of 24 tries.
Everyone, you want your heads up here, okay?
However, the 23-year-old last represented Papua New Guinea in the Prime Minister's 13 match against Australia in 2014. and the one-off match between Tonga and PNG Kumuls in Lae. Despite missing out on test matches in the last 2 years and the recent Pacific Test, the flamboyant winger makes his return to the national team just in time for the World Cup. Law is known for his pitchland runs in Super League, something he plans to utilize to the team's advantage against Australia and Fiji in the Tri-Series. The Tri-Series will be an opportunity for Kumuls coach Michael Marum to pick his final 17-man squad for the Rugby League World Cup. Thus, Law will have to impress Marum to earn one. The Kumuls travel to Fiji today for the Tri-Series against Australia and Fiji Bati this Saturday. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
The Earl Search Trophy Tour resumed day 2 of the NCD leg today. Their first stop was at 6 Mile Sarga Rugby League ground.
The cup was welcomed by the people of 6 Mile and was carried into the field by Hunters players Silas Kahuna and Mukapita Kulu.
Kahuna, Silas and Mukapita.
Excited children were eager to see the trophy. 6 Mile Sarga community leader Isaac Y was ecstatic to see the trophy in his area. Oil Search General Manager Stakeholder Engagement Leon Baskin says, just like the Pacific Games relay baton, Oil Search is happy to take the trophy around Papua New Guinea.
30 days now, close to 1 moon. People carrying around, oh, kita upload Papua New Guinea. Got upload islands, got upload Nambis, got upload southern side, northern side. Now, this weekend, last week now, you mean Port Moresby. Yeah, so plenty of the line, you mean Papua New Guinea, or one bell, or looking well wishes from all Kumul players, play me. Now, all the time, we'll see now, and give blessings for all too. One kind of some people are all set to walking, just like Pacific Games, relay button, people around him, Papua New Guinea. Now, just like kind of walking, you make them a champion team, champion country of Pacific Games. You may win all the country of Pacific. Now I'm walking one kind. True.
From 6 Mile, the trophy was transported on a convoy to New Erima Primary School. As the convoy got closer to the school, excited children rushed towards the gate to welcome the trophy. The trophy was then transported to Kop Kop College at Garahu. Students lined the sides of the school hall as it made its way through. An original composition was sung by the students to welcome the trophy.
People from different places, busy doing their own stuff. But when they hear about rugby, they fly from different places. Oh, we come together, making friends with each other. Cause with sports, we are friends. We are friends. Sports.
The trophy was then placed on its stand on the stage and welcomed into the school.
You, on behalf of the school and the Board of Management, the teachers and the students, it gives me great pleasure as part of the team leader in this place to warmly welcome everyone, the Oil Search team, the organizing committee for this World Cup Trophy Tour.
You have to count yourselves very, very lucky. Not many people in PNG have had the trophy visit them. So today you are creating Rugby League history in Papua New Guinea, because this is also the first time that the Rugby League World Cup has come to our country.
The students had the opportunity to wish the Kumuls and the Orchids all the best in the upcoming World Cup. The cup toured different streets of Port Moresby, starting at Garahu Stage 6, through Waigani and down to Morata. From Morata, the trophy went through Tokara, then to Hohola. A quick stop at Ekivaki Primary School and the cup was off to its final stop, the National Football Stadium, ending day 2 of the NCD Tour. Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
Chukai Sports continues after these short messages. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. To football, Leh will be the host city for the 2017 Besta FA Cup finals from the 26th to 28th this month. The PNG Football Association, after discussions with sponsor International Food Corporation, made the official announcement.
The football action kicks off with 6 men's and 4 women's teams from the 4 regions who qualified for the semi-finals. Southern region will have PMSA and Hoods for the men's, while the women's will be represented by PMSA. Momase will have Big Guns, Morobe Football Association and Medang for the men's, and Morobe Football Association for the women's. The Highlands is yet to stage their tournament before the winners are announced, while New Guinea Islands will have Talasea for the men's and Kimbe Association for the women's. The winners of the semi-finals will proceed on to the grand finals on October 28 to see who will be crowned the champion. PMSA Women's, who clinched onto the title twice in 2013 and 2015, are looking to take the women's title back to Port Moresby this year. The Besta FA semi-finals and grand finals will be played at Sir Ignatius Kilage Stadium. Meanwhile, the Highlands Regional Besta FA Cup qualifier kicked off today at Dixon Oval in Kundiawa and ends this Saturday. Shane Saroya, National, EMTV Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. So what are the details when we come back?
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Weather forecast for tonight in Port Moresby: cloudy with a few showers tonight, then fine.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the news for today, Wednesday, 11th of October 2017. From the entire news team, good night.